Hello again, Washington football fans, and welcome to part 3 of our series looking at mid-season grades for the offense, the defense, and the coaching. On today's episode of the Washington Wrap, we are looking at the coaching. We are setting ourselves a 10-minute time limit to do it because this is a single-issue format show. And joining me, just as they did for parts 1 and part 2, are Robbie Duncan and Felix Trammell. And as I said, the coaching is our topic for this one. So let's start the 10-minute timer and let's jump straight into it because this one's going to be fascinating. I don't know where this one's going to end up. So I'm going to start here and say, Felix, it's hard to assess the coaches because so much of what goes into coaching we don't see as the general public or even as sideline reporters or whoever. A lot of the coaching is behind closed doors and we only get glimpses of it but between what we see on the field, what we hear players and coaches say during press conferences and interviews and things like that. So with that caveat under the belt, let me say this. This team has given Ron Rivera an enormous amount of power, and not just on the field. Like, he is involved in the name change and stuff like that as well. So Ron Rivera is similar to what Mike Shanahan was in some ways when he was here. He is more than just a head coach. He is a de facto team vice president, a de facto general manager. Now, obviously, we have guys like Martin Mayhew and Marty Herney and stuff filling those roles as well, but Ron Rivera plays a role in that. He is not separate from that. So with that said, has Ron Rivera, look, to steal an idiom from Bill Simmons, are we sure Ron Rivera is good? Because this team has not been great, and this team has had a lot of issues in the last 18 months. A lot of which cannot be put on Ron Rivera. I'm not suggesting that. But given the power Ron Rivera has, and given the position he's in, I feel like we almost need to grade him separately from the other coaches for good or for bad. So Ron Rivera, Felix, let me start there with you. How do you look at someone like Ron Rivera?
For the everything else, he's been superb. And the everything else is the name change, the scandal after scandal after scandal. He's been good for that. So off the field, he's been exceptional. And I think very few people could have navigated a franchise through that, plus pandemic, plus fighting cancer. So
I'm nodding profusely.
I think that
I agree.
is just amazing. On the field is a little different. I believe the players respect him and they do love him and they want to play for him. But he seems to have delegated a lot of power, a lot of the decisions to his coordinators. So I'm not quite sure he has much of an effect on what's going on. And he's kind of like just the president of the team, and he's just kind of the figurehead. But the coordinators are doing a lot of the application. So, case in point, something that I didn't think he handled well was the whole kicker situation. Dustin Hopkins deserved to be challenged. And that should have been done in the offseason by finding a young kid out of college who can boom the ball and give a fair competition. It was a panic move to cut Dustin Hopkins a few weeks ago. He did not cost us the Kansas City game. The second half cost us the Kansas City game on offense, and then the defense fell apart. So you went to an unproven kicker, and that became even worse. It came to the point where you couldn't kick a field goal. So now you're going to your third kicker. So it's just something that just seems like a panic move that wasn't thought out. We should have went with Hopkins the rest of the year and just let it figure itself out in the offseason. But I think a lot of that you can question. And just putting certain people out there, if you say there's a standard and how we got to do this, but you still put the same people out there, who are you really holding accountable? So off the field stuff, I think he's been superb. But on the field, I have a lot of questions on what he's done. And a lot of it I feel as he's delegated it to the coordinators, and he just kind of steps in here and there. And we don't have that type of situation here.
Yeah, anyone who follows me on Twitter knows famously my thoughts on the Dustin Hopkins situation, so I won't go too much into that other than to say I agree 1,000% with everything you just said, Felix. So, Robbie, let's look at the offensive side of the ball on Scott Turner, because we alluded to it in part one of this this 3-part series today, there have been times where the play calling has been good and the players haven't been able to execute it well. And there's been times where the play calling has been bad and like overtly bad. So Scott Turner, how do you see him? How do you rate him and the job he's doing? Because it's tricky.
I'd give him a C- like I did the offense. It's inconsistent. It shows promise at times, but then there's other times where like, what was the point of that? Like, why are we doing this at this point of the game? Like, running the ball up the middle on 2nd and long, like that is the most. It's a pointless play. It's a wasted play. That line of thinking is so archaic and old school that it's harmful to your offense to run that, basically, in my opinion. But overall, it's been so weird, man. I know you asked me about offense, but I want to talk about him in general too. You go back to last season, the first 4 or 5 games, he was given the vibe that he didn't care if they won or not. And then he realized he made it. I mean, he basically admitted himself. They're like, oh crap, look at this. The rest of the division sucks like we do. We can actually win this thing while sucking. And then they managed to do that. Like there were calls and decisions that was just really head scratching that like, why wouldn't you go for it there? Do you want to lose? There's been a lot of that going on. They call him Riverboat Ron, but he goes for it when he shouldn't. And then he punts it or kicks a field goal when he should go for it. So it's so odd to me what's going on. And here's my fear. He's great for what off the field, like Felix said. He's made us respectable. Everybody in the league respects him. He's a great personality. He brings respect to the program that we haven't had in a long time. But my fear is, because of that, does he have a leash of any kind at all? Like, if what we're getting right now continues, what's going to be the final straw, or will there be a final straw? Like, I mean, and think about it. He got fired from Carolina and then got promoted by us. He got more power
hired his own bosses back from Carolina with the, Marty Mayhew.
So I'm afraid that we're going to be stuck with them if things don't improve, and we're just going to be consistently mediocre, but we're respectable off the field. That's great. Again, that's awesome. Kudos. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to him.
No, it's a fair point.
He's gone through a lot the past year and a half. And, but now we're at the point where we need to see some kind of good product on the field. And he has not delivered that yet. He's a defensive guy. He's got Jack Del Rio as his defensive coordinator, and the defense sucks with a lot of investment in that defense. So, something's got to change. And he frankly looks burnt out, and he's made comments about the fans and stuff that really kind of, rubs me the wrong way. So I'm not happy with him right now. And I think a lot of people aren't either. And they're kind of getting fed up with what they're being fed by him. Just stop talking and show it to us instead.
Yeah. Well, we are within the final 2 minutes here, so quick answers. I want to talk about Jack Del Rio. I don't think he's been good at his job this year, and although he has improved from the start of the year, and Felix really did address this earlier, I still think he is not doing a good job. And if you look at the on-field results compared to the development of the players on the defense under him, it doesn't paint a pretty picture. So I don't think you can grade Jack Del Rio anything higher than a D or a D minus, or potentially an F. And you talk about Ron Rivera's off-field stuff. Well, Jack Del Rio's off-field stuff is not pretty. So not going to go into that here. We don't have time. That'd be a whole episode and a half on its own. But I don't think Jack Del Rio is performing, and I won't be surprised if he's not part of this team moving forward after this season. As a whole, the coaching, it's hard, as I said, to grade the unit as a whole because there's such separate pieces, but that's our job. As a whole, I grade this coaching job that they've done in 2021, the head coach, the offensive coordinator, and the defensive coordinator, a D+. It's not good enough. There hasn't been a lot of success on either side of the ball, and a lot of the development of players isn't happening, and the messaging isn't great, and the consistency isn't there, and that's pretty much everything you need from a coaching staff, and it's not happening. So the lightning round answers, Felix, grade of the coaching for you, mate.
D. I think schematically we have some issues, some concerns. I think play calling, situational play calling, I have a lot of concerns. And then personnel grouping, I have a lot of concerns. So I like the pieces that we have as far as players. I just don't think they're being utilized correctly. So I'm gonna say D, because that's the coach's job, is to put the best players out there in the positions for them to succeed. And I don't think we do that on any side of the ball.
Yep, agreed. Robbie, your lightning round answer.
I mean, I'm going to give it an F overall. I mean, you didn't find a franchise quarterback. You decided to go with Fitzpatrick and Heineke. I love he's my dude, but this was not a, this is what you made this bed. Now you got to lay in it. And the question I have is, do you even trust this staff to find the right quarterback next offseason? Like, if assuming they do draft one in the first round, is that even the right guy? Are they taking, I have a lot of questions and concerns about what the future is. So I'm not very pleased at all. So I'm going to be strict and give them an F.
Well, there you go, Washington football fans. That is the end of our 3-part series grading the offense, the defense, and the coaching. Some interesting topics there. A lot to cover, and I think the best way to continue this is via tweets. Tweet us your thoughts, tweet us your comments, tweet us your questions, tweet us your disagreements. Come at us, we'll take it. We all three of us are up for a scrap on Twitter. If you think we're wrong about something, let us know, and we'll go back and forth with you. Do it respectfully, but let's have some fun with it. Robbie Duncan, Felix Trammell, always a pleasure talking Washington football with both of you guys. The bye week is, almost over, and we come out against a little guy called Tom Brady this week, so that's going to be fun. Let's look forward to that. Yay! Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. If you're getting this on a podcast platform, please leave us a rating and a review. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook, same, follow our page, everything like that. Instagram we still have, but Instagram changed a couple of weeks ago, and it's made it tricky for us to upload the episodes onto Instagram TV. I'm still trying to fix that, but check us out there on Instagram as well. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.